Hi there,
Oh,
Congresswoman. It's nice to see you. I appreciate you carving out time for us this morning. I know we only have a handful of minutes. I'm here in Sharm el Sheikh at the UN COP27 meetings, and we've been hosting some of these conversations from the COP with lawmakers to get your views on energy and environment policy. And I really appreciate your time to make space for us. We're going to be using this at the Competitive Enterprise Institute and also sharing it with our friends at National Review Online. They're very interested in what you have to say about everything. And the way we have it structured is just a conversation. I've got a handful of questions and we want to hear what you have to say.
okay.
Does that all work for you?
I hope so.
All right, well, let's dive in. And I wanted to first get a level set for people joining us. They'll be joining us online. What are your views on, and how do you prioritize in your legislative work issues related to climate? That's the big topic here at the UN meeting in Egypt.
Well, I think that we can all agree that our climate is changing. It has always changed since the beginning of time. Our Earth moves closer to the sun. We tilt differently. Sometimes we're wet, sometimes we're dry, sometimes we're cold, sometimes we're hot. I've always used the term science as what we can do to help ourselves, but I think technology is probably the better word. We have at our advantage now that through our science and math, we've got the technology in our fingertips to help move forward with everything that we'd like to do and see.
Now, all of the advances with technology, it seems that we're still in America stuck with building things. We have trouble building things, can't get things through the permitting process. Is that something that you've been focused on? And I know it's perennially a hot topic for us at the Competitive Enterprise Institute.
Oh, absolutely. You know, what's gone on in the Biden administration to me is just criminal, because we need to have much better permitting so that we can do what needs to be done. You know, the United States, for all intents and purposes, is energy independent, and we have really hamstrung ourselves by not being able to do the right permitting or getting the right loans from the banks to do what needs to be done. And I think we need to open it up. And we've done such a wonderful job making things cleaner and more efficient. And there's no reason why we should depend on anyone for any natural resource at all.
Now, one thing that's been a little bit of a surprise to me here at this international meeting is that we came into the meeting with John Kerry, the United States envoy, talking about and building up toward a new system for tradable permits. And it just has not been on the radar for the last week and a half. It's not really made a dent. People aren't focused on it. My broad view is the tradable permits regime that he's outlined is an opportunity to create scarcity among energy users so that we limit the pool and then we trade those emissions. So I've always taken a different view, which is that we need abundance, that more energy leads to more innovation and leads to more growth, and it puts more people on that right side of the poverty line. Are you surprised at the level of traction that the Biden administration has gotten with this scarcity agenda?
I'm not surprised, because the other side of the aisle likes to pick winners and losers. And we have seen that in our energy. I mean, I'm from an energy state. We've seen it over and over. Coal industry, the gas and oil industry, in so many areas. They want to pick the winners and losers. And I'm the exact opposite. I want to have a fair playing field where people can succeed. They can, if they stumble, they pick themselves up and move on and move forward. So it doesn't surprise me, and it probably wouldn't surprise me if he didn't fly over there in his private jet too. Is that correct?
I have to say, he and I didn't travel together, so I can't vouch for his arrangements. He has been known to take private travel, although I think a little bit of heat for that might have pushed him back to the commercial side of things. I just don't know, Congresswoman. He's not a guy that I spend a lot of time with, quite frankly. The big topic, however, and this is something I did want to talk to you about. It's been a movement building now for almost, well, for 30 years, but clearly now for about a half a dozen years. They have on the agenda here at the UN meeting something called loss and damage. And once it's on the agenda, people start talking about what different proposals might be. And the notion here is, and we heard for the first time just this year, reparations, that countries like the United States ought to pay directly countries that are not yet economically developed for things that happened 50, 75, 100, 150 years ago. Again, I just want to open up the door and ask you, is this the right direction that we ought to be involved in conversations about wealthier nations paying reparations to poorer nations?
No.
All right, we have clarity.
Very much clarity, because I honestly think that capitalism and affordable energy has lifted many people out of poverty than anything else. Again, we will do anything we can to help people modernize, give them the tools, the knowledge on how to do it well. But good policy is good policy. Reparations, no.
All right, very good. Let me ask you what might be the easiest part of this whole conversation. I always want to find out what you're interested in telling people about, but I forgot to ask. As you look ahead into the next Congress, you look ahead into the next decade where we have some of these climate targets, these emissions targets that the Biden administration has laid out. What do you think is most important for us to be working on?
Well, I think carbon capture is very, very important, and we need to move forward with that, along with continuing with an all of the above policy. As we learn more and more from science and we learn how to do these things better, people talk about hydrogen, they talk about fusion, they talk about nuclear. We need to have an open mind as we move forward and people discover more and more ways to do things. So to me, carbon capture is a great tool, as well as all the many ways that we have improved as we've moved forward with all of our discoveries and all of our ways of providing energy for the world, because we all want clean water and clean air, and we want our children and grandchildren to respect the world, but we also need to respect how we move forward and not keeping people in poverty, because that's not fair. But it's fair to help them modernize themselves by sharing the science and sharing what we can do well.
I deeply appreciate that. A lawmaker who's got an abundance agenda, moving people forward with more resources, more tools, more availability of best practices, new science. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you carving out time for us this morning. And here we have Representative Carol Miller of West Virginia. Look forward to seeing you next time I'm back home in Virginia, whether that's at the Capitol or somewhere else around Washington.
Well, it's my pleasure to speak with you, and I wish you all well, and we need to move forward.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
All righty.